Welcome back to the channel. Here in this episode, we're going to be going over Dragonflight, which is the first Pern novel. But first, I'd like to ask you to subscribe, like, leave a comment down below, and turn on notifications. Yeah, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, as my fingers disappear. So, yeah, here we go. Dragonflight, this is the first book that was written. It was basically made up of two short stories, or I guess novellas, um, that were written earlier, and then she just kind of put them together, fixing them up. That was Weir Search and then Dragonflight, but the book is made up of 4 parts. It follows Flar and Lessa. Um, and if you read The Dragon Harbor of Pern, you know Flar is basically he's a dragon man who takes down facts, and Lessa is one of the drudges who she really is part of the blood of Ruata, but survived the invasion. So where this book begins is kind of where the Master Harper of Pern leaves off. It's where the Weirs are doing a search. They're basically putting together a search, and they're doing it with facts. And they go to Ruata Hold, and everything is all ruined. Lessa's plan was to basically ruin everything, make Ruata useless and profitless. And she does a pretty good job of it, actually. So without going into detail there, because I mean, if you read the Dragon Harper or the Master Harper of Pern, then you know what happens. You can also watch that video to see what happens. I explain it kind of in there, but that's where it kind of starts. That's where Weir Search takes place. After Fax is killed, basically Flar takes Lessa back to Bendon Weir, and his whole idea is she's got to be the one to impress the gold. She's got to be the queen. She's strong. She's of the blood. She's got to be the one. So they have a few other girls on the patch that other dragon riders got from other holds, and these girls, you can just tell they're not. They're afraid of the eggs. They're just they don't really want to be there, it seems. And when the gold shell cracks, basically Lessa is the one that's like right there. She's waiting for her. Just it's gonna be me. I'm the one that's going to be the one that's going to impress. And she does. She is the one that impresses, and she becomes the Weir woman. And she's sort of conflicted, because really she is the daughter of the Lord of Ruata Hold. And even though there was the birth, and you have Fax's surviving male child before he dies, she really starts to she wonders what would be best for me. Would it be best if I were the Weir woman of the Weir, or is it better if I stay at the Hold? Trying to figure that out is what she's trying to do at first, and it gets to the point where she finally does, and she's like, okay, I'm going to be the Weir woman. I'm gonna hold on to that, and it's all going to be fine, except you know, the Weir leader at this time is Ragul, who is up in years, and he's not, he's on the fence of, the whole debate of will Thread come back or not, and he's of the opinion that it's probably not, which is why the Weir has gone into such disarray, because nobody really has any regard for the Weir anymore. They see the Weir as being outdated. That it's outgrown its usefulness. There's been 400 years since you've had any Thread fall. It's not coming back. And basically, Flar is the only one that seems to realize that it's coming. And we're not ready. So they employ a tactic that we come across in the third pass books. They send their Weirlings and injured to a place 10 turns before, and they're going to stay for 3 turns so they can be mature and healed. Now, instead of sending them to a Weir that is in the north, they go into the southern continent, which is supposed to be off limits, and they find a spot there, and they realize that, okay, we can do this here. And Fnor, Flar's half brother, is the one that leads that expedition. So that being said, we still have 5 empty Weirs. Benden's the only one that has anything going on. And it goes back to this question song, which is in the Master Harper of Pern, that the dragons and their riders went away, and they went there. And Lessa gets this idea of there. Flar flies her queen, and they become, where he becomes Weir leader, and she's still Weir woman, and it's the relationship that they have is very interesting. It's very, because she's she's a very independent woman. She's very strong, and Flar has some difficulties dealing with that. She doesn't learn to fly under Ragul. It's under Flar that she does. And when she's flying between, she accidentally flies between times back to Ruata, where Fax and his men are invading Ruata. Then she goes back out, and then she goes between again, trying to picture Ruata, and it's the time that Fax and the dragon men come for the search. So she's looking at the question song, and she's looking at all these different, she's looking at these questions, and she gets the notion of what happens is they come here to now because I bring them. So she basically, and it's never been done in any of the other books, and obviously this is the first one, but it never even in the other ones that fall under the earlier passes. But she goes back in time 400 years, 400 turns. And when she's in between for a long, long time, and she's freaking out. The only thing that she really has is the connection to her dragon's mind. And that keeps her from going basically insane, for lack of a better word. But when she awakes, she's like really, really tired, and she's you know, it's hard to really explain everything that she's going through, but she's basically there for a month. Now, the month doesn't really matter because of the fact that, she's got all the time in the world over there. As long as they're back in time to fight the threat. And, another thing that is, the whole notion of the flamethrowers was lost. And that's a big thing. But she basically talks to the Weir leader, Tatar, and convinces him that, you gotta come. And he says basically, look, we're dragon people, and we're dragon men, and we fly thread no matter what. And they just got done fighting thread, so they've been sitting around for a while, and they're kind of bored. He's bored, and to him, really, doing this and going to fly thread is like, yeah, that's. And so they basically call all the Weir leaders except for Bendon. The reason why they do that is because Bendon is the only one that's not left. It's the only one that is not abandoned in the current time. So, that being the case, they all agree, though it's a matter of figuring out how do we get back. And they do it in 25 turn intervals. And they use the red star as their guide. And they come back, and when they come back, she basically overshoots Ruata by 2 days. 2 days over. And Flar's all with worry, and there's Robinson, the Master Harper, is in here, and he's trying to keep Flar calm, and it's hard. And but Lytol tells her when she gets there, just go back 2 days. So it's okay. Well, I'll be surprised that you show up then. He's like, but then in 2 days I'll remember that, hey, you came to me 2 days later. He's like, so it's fine, go. So they get the mental image of seeing Menemeth, which is Flar's dragon, Robinson, Lytol, and Flar out in the area, and they end up there. And I mean, you're talking, this is now 1,800 strong dragons that they have, and to occupy all the Weirs, and they're going to occupy the southern continent and try to maintain that as best as they can, because there's nice fruits, and they've already got a nice herd of beasts that the dragons can eat there. So it all seems like it's coming together, and where the book ends is during the flame. They're doing the Threadfall, and this time Les is out there. She's in the Queen's Wing, so she's got her flamethrower, and is ready to go. And basically, that's where this book ends. This was the book that I tried to read in 4th grade. That went over my head, and I can see why now that it did back then. But reading it now, obviously, it's fairly simple, fairly quick read. I liked it. I thought the pacing was good. The first part, Weir Search, was a little tough to read just because it was already done. It was done in the Master Harper of Pern. But I can understand it being now from Flar and Les's viewpoint and not from Robinson's. So it kind of needed to be done. But I think, there's not a whole lot of confusion in here the way I think the Third Pass books kind of could do with the time travel. So I give it 5 stars on Goodreads. I recommend it as, it may not be your starting off point. It is the first book of the series, but I'm reading it chronologically. So obviously, this is later for me. This is book 17 that I'm doing. But yeah, I recommend it. 5 stars on Goodreads. So yeah. So again, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. That way you know when new videos come up. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of the series. If you have any suggestions of books that you want me to read and review, or if you just want to drop a Goodreads name, and hook up on there and see what we're both reading, leave that below. I love hearing from you. So until then, keep YouTube literate, and God bless.